So on to the second of Saturday's matches, and we have Afghanistan against New Zealand down at Taunton. It's making its debut in the competition. Similar odds to England-Bangladesh. We've got New Zealand as a very short price favourite around the 1.15 mark. Very hotly fancied here. Won the first two games. I mean, they've had, you could say, favourable fixtures on paper for a lot of people. So, you know, this is now another easy game for them in theory. But this seems a bit of a mismatch on paper, Kev. Do you think it will play out that way on the field?
Yeah, I do, Steve. Yeah. I think Afghanistan took a bit of a heavy hit, didn't they, when they lost to Sri Lanka on Tuesday. I'm sure they'll maintain their enthusiasm, their competitive spirit, but, you know, when the going gets tough, I think they might struggle a little bit. Like you say, New Zealand have had an easy start. This will be the second of the two lowest ranked sides in the competition that they'll be playing. It's going to get tougher for them after this game, isn't it? So they'll want to put Afghanistan to the sword. They won't be taking them lightly or anything. It's pretty obvious from even this stage, game 12 of the competition, that net run rate is going to be a massive, massive thing come the end of the league stage. So you would think they've got a good chance here to do some damage on that score, and Afghanistan might feel the full force.
Okay, we've got a new venue to talk about, and that is Taunton County Cricket Ground. As far as New Zealand are concerned, I bet they're glad this match wasn't played on Friday, because it would have been a washout down there. They forecast a bit of rain early in the early hours of Saturday morning, maybe up to 6-7 a.m. But you would imagine a pretty wet outfield after a drenching on Friday, but should get off on time, I would imagine. Should be a 50-over game. Looks like sunny for the rest of the game. A lot of wind around. Get gusts up to 35 and 40 mile an hour for this game. Taunton is a very unique ground in this country, though. Even though it doesn't host a lot of international cricket, a lot of people are aware of its very small dimensions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stuck right in the centre of Taunton, isn't it? It's not a big sort of arena by any stretch of the imagination. Even the surrounding areas of it aren't particularly big. Very small ground, probably made even smaller with the building work that's gone on there in recent years with the stands and everything else that's gone up. Important thing to notice here, though, Steve, if you're looking at historical things on this ground, do not get into the trap of looking at their first-class wickets and their one-day wickets. They are chalk and cheese. They purposefully, later on in seasons, produce turning tracks for their spinners in the county championship, but they do not do that in one-day cricket. Of course, they're the 50-over champions in one-day cricket this season, aren't they? So they've been going well on this ground. And the likes of Tom Banton's been belting bowling attacks left, right and centre. So they're good batting wickets at Taunton in one-day cricket. They might not be in championship cricket, where they want results to launch a championship push, but certainly when the white ball comes out, so does the bat, and so do the big scores. So I've seen a few places mention that this is a spinner's ground. It's not a spinner's ground with the white ball. So that's a massive thing. Do not get into that trick, because if you do, you could think that Afghanistan have got a better chance than they have in this game.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised to read that, because it's pretty common knowledge for those who do watch the international games down here when England are on, that they want to produce an absolute belter. They want the the matches to last as long as possible. They want to give a good account of themselves. The thought didn't even cross my mind, to be honest. Maybe that's just because I know cricket a bit better than most, but I'm surprised that it's been talked about in that regard. You're absolutely right. And the county championship, different ball game completely. This is, I mean, they've got 3 matches, I think, Taunton, haven't they? They are going to want to put on a good show for all 3 of them. They'll want the matches to last as long as possible. You know, this is a big financial thing for Somerset Cricket Club. They want that cider to be drunk readily, don't they? Right until 6 p.m. at night, if they can.
They'll be hoping it's a bit. Yeah, I was going to say
it's a bit later. Yeah, yeah, they want it to be going long into the night. So yeah, we're expecting a good batting wicket really here, aren't we? The dimensions are very small, like I said, 65 meters maximum either way. I think one of the boundaries is going to play really short because of the wind factor with the gusts there. But the problem is, in terms of hitting runs for Afghanistan, that they're against a very good bowling attack, aren't they? New Zealand were absolutely superb against Bangladesh the other day. Bangladesh had a really good game plan, I thought. Managed to do well to get to 250-ish, but have Afghanistan got that tactical nous? Because it just seems to me like their openers are coming out, trying to smash everything to pieces. Played a few good shots against Sri Lanka, didn't they? But ultimately, they're going to have to be a bit careful against the likes of Trent Bolt and Matt Henry, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, if you think back to last Saturday when they made their debut in the competition, I was saying exactly the same thing when they were facing Australia. Can they box clever against Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins? Well, we got our answer. No, they couldn't. They were swinging at everything, and it didn't take long to go. Of course, for this match, there's no Mohammad Shahzad. He's ruled out for the rest of the tournament, so they're going to have to make a change to their opening setup anyway. Looks like Ramat Shah, the guy who's been batting 3 throughout the competition so far, is going to go up to open. That might actually help them a little bit in terms of blunting the new ball. But obviously, if the new ball gets through him, he's probably looked their most organised batsman technically. So there could be a bit of a deck of cards coming along after him. So they really need to bat smart. He'll probably do that. He should be good enough to do that. But you know the guy at the other end, Zazai, he only plays one way. He'll be trying to get them into Bristol and surrounding areas pretty quickly. He's got the ground to do it, to be fair. Whether he's got the skill against his bowling attack, like you say, could be the defining question.
The New Zealanders didn't have it their own way against Bangladesh, did they, with the bat? Must be said. Struggled a little bit against the slower bowling. They're going to get a test of that again here, aren't they? But albeit not quite as good a quality. So is it a case for New Zealand that something like 275, 280 they'll think that's easily enough against a team like Afghanistan?
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I'd imagine they'll think that that's plenty. To be fair, with their bowling attack, that's probably a competitive score against anyone in this competition, isn't it? Least of all Afghanistan. You're right, they're going to get tested with spin. Probably not so right when you say that of lesser quality, because Rashid Khan's probably better than anything that Bangladesh have to offer, but the other two certainly aren't. The thing with Rashid Khan, of course, he's Kane Williamson's teammate at Sunrisers Hyderabad, so they'll have seen plenty of each other. Martin Guptill's played there as well, so those two at least should know how to play him, which probably negates much of his impact in the game. So it's hard to see a way in for Afghanistan unless Zazai gets going and blasts the score, which he's perfectly capable of doing.
What do you think would be done at the toss here? What would be your big prediction if either side were to win it?
They'll both bowl.
Both bowl. Right, well, you got a few selections for the game. You're in the runs market here, but you don't fancy an awful lot of runs overall. 550 is the line, and you're quite happy to go under there. You suspect that whoever does, I mean, I'm guessing a big part of this is you don't think Afghanistan are going to get 200, perhaps.
250, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Afghanistan don't get 250, New Zealand have got to get over 300. And I don't think that that's necessarily a walk in the park because, as I say, Rashid Khan will bowl. And he'll bowl fairly well, particularly if he's not bowling at Williamson and Guptill. So, you know, let's say his overs go for 40, they're going to have to go at 7.5 the other end. Or 7 and over at the other end, sorry. Which isn't an absolute gimme against Nabi, who bowled really well in the last game, took 4 wickets. The other way around, of course, if Afghanistan bat first and they don't make that many runs, then the game's in anyway, isn't it? So, you know, I think on a competitive day, Afghanistan probably just about make 200. I don't see New Zealand scoring the rest of them. So, yeah, the under 550.5 runs looks the way to go to me. Like you say, we did see New Zealand struggle a little bit with the bat. They do run out of batsmen, as in genuine out-and-out batsmen. At number 5, as I mentioned the other day, yes, they bat deep with 3 all-rounders, but they're not going to be clobbering sort of hundreds themselves, are they? Unless they go ballistic and get a bit of Reggie Biffington going. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a ground for low scores, but I just think that this match, the line's just a shade too high.
Staying with the runs market here, do you like New Zealand to score more than 56.5 in their first 10? Explain that one.
Well, Sri Lanka got away from Afghanistan early doors, didn't they, on Tuesday? I think they were, if they weren't through the 100 in that time, they were rapidly approaching it. And obviously Australia went mad in their first few overs as well. Aaron Finch hit 4 sixes before he disappeared. So you can get after this side early, whether it's Majid bowling or whether it's the two seamers, you can get after them. We saw the other night that New Zealand certainly weren't going to hold back against Shakib, who is probably a classier bowler than anything that Afghanistan are going to open with in this match. New Zealand still made 55 for 2 in that match on Wednesday night, and they lost a wicket in the 10th over. Otherwise, they'd have gone past 56 and a half. Munro got out, didn't he? Kane Williams came in and played out the rest of the over. And against Sri Lanka, they were 77 for 0 off 10. Probably a similar attack to this one, maybe slightly better, given that Malinga bowled a couple of overs in that game. So, yeah, all things being equal, I've just said that this is a quick round. If Guptill and Munro bat a large part of these 10 overs, they should go way past 56.5. Hamid Hassan, he's a wicket taker, but the lines that he bowls opens up both sides of the wicket and his pace as well. So New Zealand can get on the front foot there. As I say, Majid, if he bowls, he was Munro's teammate at Hampshire last year, so he'll have seen plenty of him. I just think it's a low score. I mean, you're looking at less than a run a ball on this ground. I think that's asking for trouble if you're a bookmaker.
Yeah, I have to say I do like this pick actually. If New Zealand bat first, every chance they get after a big flyer. But even if they're batting second and chasing a low score, they're going to do what they did against Sri Lanka, aren't they? And just go after their run rate with no fear really. But even if they lose a couple of wickets, this does look a good pick. Over 56 and a half runs in the first 10. What bookmaker is that at?
Betway. Yeah, Betway. If those people who are listening, if they've not got Betway accounts, it's well worth getting one opened up pretty quick, because we're tipping an awful lot of bets at Betway at the minute. And obviously there's still another 36 games to go after this one.
You got a third pick for the game, and this is another different market actually compared to what's been gone already in the tournament. Under 16 and a half wickets, which is quite an intriguing one. I mean, if we give Afghanistan, if we say Afghanistan are going to lose all 10, which is highly likely, it may well come down to a case of New Zealand losing no more than 6 wickets for the bet to come in on the face of things. Which
is exactly how I've read it. New Zealand to chase a target down less than 6 wickets down. So if they're only chasing 200, they've got to get there for the loss of no more than 6 wickets. And obviously if they're batting first, we've just got to hope that they don't surrender at the death. But I don't think they will do. Just looks a pretty obvious bet. I mean, they only lost 8 the other night, didn't they, against a better bowling attack, and didn't lose a single one against Sri Lanka. I just don't think there's enough wickets in this Afghanistan attack, because if they do get off to the sort of start that we've just mentioned them getting off to in those first 10 overs, they won't even need to attack Rashid Khan. So I don't see New Zealand losing 6 wickets, and if they don't, doesn't matter what Afghanistan do, the bet's in.
Yeah, I guess the only real danger is if New Zealand do bat first and lose wickets late in the innings. But this is surely a banker if we see New Zealand bowl first, you would think. Looks a good one as well. And you got one final pick for the game. It's in the Afghanistan top run scorer market. Najibullah Zadran, top Afghanistan batsman. You can get him as big as 12 to 1 at Sporting Bet. Seen mostly 9 to 1s around. And well, I'll be honest with you, I can't actually recollect him in the back of my mind. The sort of Afghanistan middle order's all blended into one for me, Kev. But I've been told, you've been telling me he's been down at number 7.
And looked $1 million as well, Steve. I mean, he came in against Sri Lanka, didn't he, when they were, what were they, 50 for 5 in that game? And I think his first 4 scoring shots were all boundaries, weren't they? And he creamed a few of them on the offside. He's actually top scored in both innings in this competition. So why they're dangling the 12 to 1 carrot at us, I've absolutely no idea. There is no Mohammad Shahzad in this match, as I've said, so that's one potential top scorer out of the way. It may actually mean that Zadran goes up to 6 as well, which would be even better. When these two met in the 2015 World Cup, down in New Zealand, guess who top scored? Yep, you're right, Zadran again with 50. So there's an awful lot to like about the young man. He's batting really well at the minute. He's obviously in great nick, and you know, he comes in here, or came into this tournament, sorry, in exceptional form. Afghanistan went to Ireland for a ODI just before this tournament started. He made 60 not out in that. Previously, earlier in the year, he made 100 against Ireland out in Afghanistan. He's clearly batting very, very well. And not many of his teammates are doing likewise. So that 12-1 looks a serious standout bet to me. If Zaza doesn't get off to the kind of start that we expect, or even if he does but doesn't go on with it, probably not going to be chasing too many. No one else in this competition's got 50 for Afghanistan yet. So I think Zadran's a massive price, regardless of what happens above him. And of course, you've got Trent Boult, you've got the leading wicket taker in the tournament in Matt Henry, you've got Lockie Ferguson, all coming in when the first 10 overs. If Zadran does bat 6 or 7, he's likely to avoid them and be facing Santner, de Grandhomme, and with a bit of luck, Jimmy Neesham. That's where you want to bat, isn't it? So he's the form man. He's the one who scored the runs, and he can keep on doing that here.
Yeah, it does sound a bit of value, I must say. Interesting one there. May well good time to come in as well, you have to say. That's stage in the order when the bowling might be a little bit more friendly, i.e. Neesham or something like that. But okay, well, 4 picks for the game. I've got nothing for this one. I was looking at the sixes line, but well, there's just too many risks, I think, involved. I wouldn't be surprised if it does go over sixes. 11.5 was the line. A lot depends on the toss for me here as to what goes on in that regard. I think we could both do with Afghanistan batting first, really, to be brutally honest with you. That'd go down nice, I think, with a lot of the picks. So hopefully New Zealand will win the toss there and bowl first. But okay, well, that's enough from Saturday's actions. We'll be back for Sunday's game, which is, I believe, India against South Africa. So we look forward to that one.
Australia. India against Australia.
India against Australia.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just played South Africa.
That was it. Yeah, got mixed up there. Right. Okay then. Yeah, we'll see you for that match. Take care.
Cheerio, everyone.